Okay, so let's take a second and talk about that then. Damaged men. Um, are damaged men dangerous? Are damaged men dangerous? Let's go ahead and put some context on this. I've heard that before plenty of times that damaged men are dangerous. And usually this is because people assume that when somebody is damaged, they're prone to act irrationally, unpredictably, right? And a behavior, negative behaviors, negative outcomes, things of that nature because of the damage that they sustain. But I would offer you this. I would say that damaged men are dangerous for one of three reasons, or one of three reactions, put it that way, that they would have towards the event or the trauma that damaged them in the first place. I think we're more like animals. Um, and what I mean by that is there's typically one of three responses that an animal will have when they're injured. One, the first, like an animal, when damaged or when injured, a man may give up. He may pity himself. He may, go into a woe is me mindset and just stop fighting. That is one scenario. And in that case, the man is dangerous to himself more so than anyone else. He just quit. Whatever it was that traumatized him made him give up on living, made him come to the conclusion that he can't win. And then there's another scenario. The second scenario is like that animal that's wounded but tries to pretend that it's not because it knows that if other animals know that it's wounded, he becomes the prey. He becomes hunted. And that's what he doesn't want to do. We as men tend to do that. We tend to hide. I think that's the vast majority. We tend to hide our pain, hide our injuries, so that the world doesn't know that we're injured. But the problem is what happens when there's some stress applied? What happens when life, the world applies that pressure, right? So you pretended that you're okay, you pretend that you're healthy, but when that weight is applied, that's when you break down. Here's the problem with that. It's when you need it. When you need to be able to perform, you can't because that's when the damage reveals itself. Follow me on this. Imagine everyone thinking they can depend on you because you present yourself as such a solid rock. Strength, the modicum of health. And when that moment presents itself, when you're called upon to be the protector, you cave in. You can't do it. You're incapable of doing it because you're injured. You have a weakness that you concealed that everyone else didn't know existed. So they trusted that it wasn't there. In that sense, you can be a danger to yourself and others. Then there's a third scenario, the way I like to lay this out. The third scenario in which you tend to adopt the best defense is a good offense type of mentality. So you're damaged, right? You're injured. And from that point, your goal is to instill fear in the other in the would-be predators, to let them know that you're not the prey, to paint a picture or present an image that you are the predator, you are the dominant, you're the strong one. So that um, presents itself, comes out in a way where you're overly aggressive, right? Because a good offense, the best defense is a good offense. Keep them on their toes. So then you have this individual who's like a wild cannon, just wild, just over the top, you know. And often they can't even back it up. They're all talk. They're just a big mouth, but they're trying to hide this weakness, trying to hide this damage, trying to hide all their fears that came about as a result of that. In any case, um, it's dangerous. It's more dangerous to other people because they may not even have done something to justify the response that you offered, just because you're trying to protect yourself in an offensive manner. So there's three different scenarios. You have somebody who, as a result of their damage, they give up. You have somebody else who goes through life hiding it, and you got somebody else who goes through life putting up a front, as if they're stronger than they really are. They're offensive just to try to keep people on their toes so that they don't discover the weakness that exists there. Um, so that there's three different possibilities, and there's more to it. I'm sure it gets deeper than that. That's in my observation. Those are three that just come to mind right offhand. Um, but here's the thing. This is where it gets really interesting. Is the fact that um, we're all damaged. Right? It's not like there's some of us who are just bystanders sitting around looking at other men and saying, "Oh, he's damaged in that way, he's damaged." We're all damaged. And what do I mean by that? Somebody would say, "Well, I'm not damaged. I've healed this, that, and the other." We all carry some. If you healed, you carry scars, right? If you're cut and you heal, there's a scar there. That's damage. It's healed, but it's still damaged because it's not in the condition it was before it experienced whatever trauma it did. So this is the point. From day one, from the day that we're born, we start racking up damage, and some less healthy than others. But people would say that, well, that's insane. Well, no, not really. If you think about a car coming out of a factory, fresh paint job, brand new interior, engine has no miles on it, fresh fluids, everything. It's in pristine condition. The minute you start driving that car, which is like going through life, you start racking up damage, most of which is not readily apparent in the beginning. What about those little pebbles that kick up and nick the paint? That you can't even see unless you look really, really close. And you're like, oh, there's a little bit of damage, right? What about the pothole you run over or the object that you drive over on the street and it damages the undercarriage, it damages underneath the vehicle, and you can't see it. Nobody can see it from the surface. You won't know it's there unless you are go looking for it, unless you know where to look, how to look, what to look behind, what to peek around. You would never find that damage, but it's damaged. It's there. And every little piece of damage affects that automobile in some way. It if it's not cosmetic, then it's affecting it in a mechanical nature. But it's damage nonetheless, no matter how small. It's not perfect anymore. It's not pristine anymore. It's been exposed to the elements. You've been exposed to the world, therefore you are damaged. So I think it's important that we all understand that. We all recognize that. We are all damaged. Therefore, we can all be dangerous in the same ways that I mentioned before. Dangerous to ourselves and others, or really, really dangerous to other people, or a combination of the three. It's not like it's all separated. Usually there's a combination of all of the above. Um, but the point is, it's there. We have to recognize it and don't try to imagine ourselves as being exempt. See, it's not really about the damage anyway. I mean, yes, it's important what we've gone through, what traumas we experienced, but what's more important is the level of control that we believe that we have and the level of responsibility that we take for our actions. If we react, we are still responsible. We are still responsible. That's the key. And the more we understand that, the better we understand that, the more we operate in that, the more balanced of an individual, the more balanced of a man that we are. And I think that's the key. It's not whether or not we're damaged. It's that we're all damaged. And if damaged men are dangerous, we are all dangerous. It just comes down to whether or not we recognize that, and recognize what those dangers are, and take the appropriate actions to protect ourselves and others from that danger. But let me know what you think about that in the comment section below. Would love to hear your opinions on this topic. I'll see you on the next video. Peace.